Well, I'm just going to say I'm sitting here with artist Travis Freeman.
Hi.
And I wanted to do this interview because, I mean, you did one of the most interesting performances I've ever seen. And I think it's probably the most interesting one that's ever been done at the University of Minnesota here.
Wow.
Well, first I want to ask you the question, what is art?
Sure. It's a great question. I'll try not to go on forever because it's like something I think about a lot. And I think I was just like walking down the hall before we met, and I was just thinking about, because I feel like it's it's like a moving target, right? It's like I don't know that there's been one definition of art that holds through time or will hold. I feel like it's a changing, it's sort of an evolving definition, and maybe what art was 50, 100 years ago is not the same as what it is today. And I guess for me, art is always about a conversation, and it's who is in that conversation, I think, is really important. I mean, that's paramount. Who is allowed in or who feels like they're part of that conversation. I feel like maybe in the past that conversation was more maybe internal conversation. Art was a lot about the artist and the work, and I still feel like that's very important, but I do feel like there's more of a social aspect, and now it's about the artist, the work, and the community at large, and then also just like the art community. And I guess for me, I'm very interested in, at this point, like the conversation within the art community, within the community of other artists and people that look at a lot of art. Not to say that I'm definitely totally interested in what people say that aren't artists or don't look at a lot of art, but I find myself just, I guess, as a grad student in the environment I'm in, that this conversation it just seems to be within a community of artists, which, I find to be great people with great things to say. So right now, art for me is about this conversation where I'm making things, other people are making things, and then what we make kind of talks to each other.
Okay.
And so I guess it's about making things and talking to other people that are making things, and somehow trying to figure out what's going on in our world, or what it is that is our contemporary experience through this kind of crazy process of research and making and introspection and conversation, which are all, things that I've always loved doing, right? Just talking and thinking and making. So that's what art is, and hopefully that's what it continues to be, but who's to say what happens?
Yeah, you never know what the future will hold.
Yeah, I was really thinking about it, like Barack Obama's on his, gets up there and he says, like, this is the time where we're really needed to, like, be, selfless more. Like, I really felt like that was part of, like, the inaugural address was talking about being selfless, and I really thought about that in conjunction with my art, and am I doing enough to put myself into the community or help people in the community, and I feel like there's many ways to answer that, but what's important, I think, to remember and to understand is that just this conversation of the conversation of what our contemporary experience is, what is the world we're living in, how as individuals do we deal with that. I feel like that's an important part of any community, and as artists we can give to the community through those kind of connections.
Oh, that makes me think of like a question. Do you think it's a responsibility of the artist to become part of this community, or?
I don't like responsibilities in general, and I think that's one of the reasons why a lot of us gravitate towards art, is because it frees us up. So I think an artist's main responsibility is to him or herself, to be true to whatever vision it is that that artist has, and I think that's the number one responsibility. As long as you're not playing yourself false, it's all good with me, And for me, I feel like I'm being false if I don't connect with the community, but I have no qualms with people that don't. And follow your own passion. That's what it's all about.
Cool. Well, let's talk a little bit about that performance.
Sure.
You did a performance where for 24 hours you did absolutely nothing. Could you maybe talk about, what this is about and how you came up with the concept for this performance?
Sure. Well, first, I like to call it an attempt to do nothing for 24
Okay.
hours because
Obviously I have to breathe.
I have to breathe, right? And it becomes, right, and this is the conversation that inevitably comes up, is what does it mean to be doing nothing and how close can you get? And it's always like, it's finding for me, it's like finding what's closer to nothing, like it's, I don't know, lesser of two evils in a way, or lesser of something. So it's definitely like an impossible experiment in a way, but it's like a lot of things in art where being impossible is okay, or like shooting for the impossible is not a bad thing. There's something to be gained by an attempt, or putting yourself fully into an impossible pursuit and seeing how close you come, or what happens. So I'm attempting to do nothing, and I think it's wrapped up in a lot of my ideas. I guess the core one is that there's something innately, there's something about being human, about being a living person, that is maybe what it's all about. Just self-worth without job, occupation, things you make, people like, what is it to just be like a living human being without any titles? So I wanted to kind of explore that, and I feel like a lot of the greatest connections I've ever had with people are on that level. Like, I'm a human being, you're a human being, and we don't need anything else at this moment. Like, I'm okay with you and you're okay with me, and that's it. I feel like those are like some of the best, deepest moments in my life. So attempting to get closer to that, I just wanted to stop everything, to not be all these things, not do anything, not be speaking, not get my ego and my words and my thoughts involved, but just to be a human being, and then try to confront people on that level, and have, I don't want to say like force a connection, but offer the opportunity for a connection. It's really about, it's about connecting to people on sort of an energetic, a subtle level, a silent place. And there's a lot of it that's just me being by myself in those 24 hours. And those big gaps of time where it's just like me and the space and the quietness, those parts that aren't as interesting to me as the parts where other people come in and interact. I guess the parts where I'm by myself, I feel like, are the preparation. Like, I'm trying to fill the room sort of with my presence, and then allow other people to come in and sort of feel what that is, feel my presence in the space. They've known that I've been there for some time. Usually, like, so I started at 8 at night and finished 8 o'clock the next night. And after I went in, they closed the gallery down. So I was there for a good 13 hours by myself in just the gallery. So even the first people that came in at 11 o'clock in the morning knew that I had been there for many hours in the space. And I think that's important for them to know that I've kind of had that sort of quiet moment, time to really like get into that space of doing nothing. So when somebody comes to me, or comes to see the piece, or comes to sit down with me, like, they have some feeling like there's been a quieting or a slowing down of life, just of life slowed down in that space, and they can be part of that, or feel that, or work against that. Hopefully that's where the conversation starts within themselves, or with each other, when they discover how they feel in that space.